Well, I was a reporter for the Greenville News, and I thought that was probably where I would retire from. But I was asked to start writing religion for the newspaper. And so I thought, well, I'll go get a degree in comparative religion. So then I ended up in seminary down in Erskine Theological Seminary in Due West, South Carolina. And as I got in there, I just started realizing, oh my goodness, this is what I've always wanted to know about, where these books in the Bible came from. So I just became enthralled with that, went ahead and got a Master of Divinity degree, and this was my first church. And I came in, I looked out at the dining hall, and it was just rough. I mean, they had an armed guard here at Sunday dinner because it was so rough. And we were finding drugs on the property, empty liquor bottles on the property. And so I looked out over that dining hall at all the people coming in to eat these hot meals, and I thought, well, almost everybody I'm seeing is either a drug addict or alcoholic or mentally ill or all three. Why aren't we trying to address those things? So that was where we started, was just trying to address addiction and let people have an opportunity to get out of it. And my prayer during that year was, God, I'll give you 1 year, but that's all that you can ask of me or anybody. This place is too hard. And by the end of the year, I could sort of see some changes being made in lives, and in the bar had been raised a little bit as far as behavior. And so just kept on. One Saturday we were in here, and some men after the lunch ran up to my office and said, Pastor, you've got to come see. Well, I assumed it was a fight because there were always fights. But what it was a break-in the food pantry. A window had been kicked in. The associate pastor, Alfred Johnson, was here, and he had about 3 men, and they were so mad. They were just like fuming. How could somebody do this to our church? And just that feeling that, okay, it's not just me facing this alone. This is now our church, and other people were as upset as I was. That was a moment that I felt something shift, that, okay, we're all in this together, and this is our church. Being a church, I think, allows us to work with people and interact with people in a way that's just not possible in a homeless service provider setting ordinarily. We can pray with them, first off, and they're just here more. We can invite them in to participate in ways that other agencies might not have. For instance, if you worshiped with us, you would find homeless people, or formerly homeless people, because we got a lot of them housed, handing out the bulletins, taking up the offering, helping me serve communion, singing in the choir, leading the responsive reading. And so everything we were doing was trying to impart the message, you are part of this church, and so we need your help. We could not function as a church of God without you being part of it. And that, I think, had tremendous power. One Sunday, I preached a sermon long before we had a plan, but it was really saying, inviting the congregation to begin thinking about how we as a community were going to solve this problem of homelessness. Well, one of the men sitting in the congregation that day was Jim Carroll. Well, he took that as a challenge, and he went out to Ollie, the learning program at Furman for retirees, and challenged some of his classmates to get involved in homelessness in Greenville. And they ended up going to the Greenville Homeless Alliance, and I believe Susan over there sent them to Lorraine at United Housing Connections. And Lorraine said, yes, why don't you guys form the fundraising arm, and we're going to try to build this Church Street place at Poe Mill. And so she sent them over to look at Reedy Place, and they saw what was going on, and they formed this searchlight to become the fundraising arm for Church Street Place. And so that was how it started. And then once it got going, we were just so proud of them that we began announcing in church and put out little envelopes so that our congregation could funnel money directly to Church Street Place.
When the facility is complete, we will have rooms for 36 individuals who have been chronically homeless with mental illness. And those people will finally, in their lives, have a place to live. And with support around the clock, they'll be able to move on in their lives. And that's going to be immensely gratifying. And it's Church Street Place at Poe Mill, which is the name of the facility, has been near and dear to Deb's heart. And that will be a fantastic legacy when that is finished.
The morning that Deb Richardson-Moore told me that she was leaving was probably one of the hardest days of my life, mainly because Deb is not just a boss, she's one of my best friends. And so I struggled with it. But at the end of the day, I knew that she had done so much.
One of the things I'll miss most about Deb is that she stands up for homelessness. She counts them as real people and meets them where they're at.
And her legacy is going to be she's the one that changed the way we think about homelessness in Greenville. For that, we'll be eternally grateful.
I would hope to be remembered for someone who tried to help bring homeless people and housed people together in this community so that we are not so separated, so that we are just brothers and sisters in Christ.